there. So today we're going to talk you through what comes supplied with your NightRunner camera, and we'll get everything out of the box. We'll show you what you get and answer any questions or the most frequently asked questions. So let's take a look inside the box. In the top compartment here we have our NightRunner cables. It comes supplied with two cables. The first one is this. This is the main 50-foot Cat5 cable that connects the camera to the balun at the helm position where the video, power and data are brought out. This is an RJ45 waterproof plug. It's rated at IP68, so it's a really good environmentally proofed seal. And at the other end you get your regular RJ45 plug. That goes into the balun, and we'll come to that shortly. One of the most frequently asked questions we get here are, can we cut the connectors off? And the answer is yes, but obviously bear in mind that you don't want to cut that end off, because as I say, that's a molded connector, and once that connection's made and it's screwed up nicely on the base of the camera, you get a really good watertight seal. If you cut that end off and replaced it with a regular RJ45 jack, it's not going to be sealed. The other consideration is, if you do end up cutting this end off, then make sure that you adhere to the wiring convention. It's Cat5B, and it's a straight through cable. It's not crossover cable. Do not cross the cables over here, otherwise you're going to cause big problems with your camera. So the wiring conventions are white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, green, white, brown, and brown. So always adhere to those wiring conventions. So that's the main cable, 50 foot. The other main question we get asked are, can we extend the length of the cable? Now you can, but always contact IRIS before you do it. NightRunner draws quite a lot of juice, and so when extending the length of the cable, you might have to have a different type of cable or a different type of base on the camera. We'll cover these in a separate tutorial, but best thing to do is, if you want to go longer than 50 foot, is contact IRIS and we'll tell you exactly how to do it. Very, very straightforward, not much pain involved, but give us a call first or an email. Right, so that's the main cable. The other cable you get is a 6 foot or 2 meter composite coaxial video cable, 75 ohms, 2 male BNCs at each end, and that's used to break the video from the balun adapter into whatever video device you're going to connect it, whether it's directly into a chart plotter or into a video switcher, a DVR, or whatever. And again, we'll cover all these configurations and options in a separate tutorial. The idea is that when you get your NightRunner, you've pretty much got everything you need to get running straight away. You don't have to go around making other cables up, etc. So everything you need for the basic connection configuration is included. So main cable, video cable. Now we'll look into the main body of the camera. So we lift up the flap. You get various pieces of paperwork here. The first of all is a warning note telling you that when the camera's not being used, turn it off. It's just fairly common sense, really straightforward. Obviously, it's a sensitive electronic device, so if you're not going to be using it for long periods of time, switch it off. It prolongs the operational life of the camera, also protects the thermal sensor. You also get your fixing template. It shows the 6 fixing positions and the cable entry hole with the size drill to use when you're drilling your hole. So that's all to scale, so you can just put that down, pop the holes through, or tape it up to the ceiling, however you install on the camera, and that simplifies the installation. And then the ever important user guide, everything in here from safety notes, all the conventions on how to address the camera, how to install it, how to operate the camera, protocol information if you want to use it with a third-party control device, full details on the balun, everything's in here, so don't lose that. Right, so now we're looking to the main compartment of the box. We'll take out the big packing brick there, and before I actually get to the camera, what I'm going to do is talk you through the connections that are supplied with the camera. Firstly is the most important balun, which is this thing here. You hear me talk about this quite a lot, and there's also a separate video tutorial which goes through the operation of this in full detail. Essentially, the balun is a breakout adapter, because you're bringing the power, video and data from the camera back in one cable. Then you've got to break that out in the control position using one of these. And what you get is this little block here is where your Cat5 cable goes. And then at the other end, you've got 3 tails. You have your video connector, your data wires, and your power jack. And as I mentioned, that's all covered in a separate tutorial, so look out for that on YouTube. So that's the balun, the most important bit of kit. We then move to the fixings. Now you've got 6 stainless steel screws in here. You have a couple of these guys here. These are BNC through adapters. I mentioned the video cable earlier because they've got male ends on. If you want to connect that to another device or another cable with a male BNC, we've popped in a couple of these guys so you can do that. And also really, really handy are these connectors here. We supply these with pretty much of all cameras we sell. But these are really handy and really speed up install. They're just basically screw terminal adapters. You've got a male and a female. And we use these for DC power or even for your IRIS295 data. With the NightRunner, these are great for connecting up your data wires. So really handy, makes things much easier. And lastly but not leastly, we have this little gizmo here. This is a ground loop isolator. Now, you won't always need this. We bundle this in because when you're using a Cat5 cable and a balun kind of setup, it is possible that you can get some electrical noise induced on the video ground path. So if that happens, plugging this guy in line on your video path should eliminate that. So we bundle that in, in case that happens. Symptoms of DC noise are when you plug the camera and you look at the screen, you'll see ghosting on the on-screen display positional indicator, or you may see diagonal tearing lines across the screen or rolling lines. If you get any symptoms like that, plug this guy in and that should get rid of that for you. Right, we'll move on to the camera. And I'll be quick here, I won't dwell too much on it because the actual operation of the camera we'll cover in another tutorial. But what you've got is, as you can see, it pans 360 degrees, it tilts all the way into the base, and then it goes up to just past the vertical azimuth there. And if we take a quick look at the cameras themselves, the top one here is your regular daytime camera, the bottom here is your thermal camera. You can see that on the base you have the fixing positions molded in, 6 positions, and underneath here's your waterproof Cat5 connector. So if I grab the main cable, this is where your cable connects. As you can see here, I'll try and balance that, but it plugs in and screws up nicely, making a really good seal. Now, you don't obviously need me to tell you, make sure that you make a really good true connection there. When you locate the Cat5 connector, you can feel when it's true. When you do up the back shell, the lock nut, you can feel when it's true. If it feels as if it's cross-threaded, just pull back and start again. So once that's connected, you've got a really good seal. It's one cable, very, very simple to install. And the only thing I'll quickly mention now is the little red arrow sticker you can see on the front of the camera there. That basically denotes the camera's default home position. So 9 times out of 10, 99.9% of the time, that will always be pointed towards the bow. And that will correspond with the bow position on the camera's on-screen display. When you turn the camera on, and we'll see this very shortly, in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a little on-screen indicator which shows you where the camera's pointing at. So when you install the camera, line that with the bow, and you're good to go. Don't worry if you can't. Sometimes because of obstructions behind the surface onto which you're fixing the camera, you won't be able to do that. But you can also set that in software. But if you can, it's always best to, but it doesn't really matter. So there we go. And now we'll move on to plugging the camera in, and then you can see what happens when the camera boots up and how it initializes.